BP
is the largest energy company and the fifth largest company in the world. It operates 80 countries and produces 33 million barrels per day of oil and around 20,700 service stations. Although, with all the steady mass production of oil, there's likely lots of room for mistakes.
The Deepwater Horizon oil rig exploded and sank last week, killing 11 people. Although it was initially thought there was no leak, it's now believed nearly 800,000 litres a day could be spewing from the seabed. That oil slick is now about 160 kilometres long, and this is the US Coast Guard's estimate for its position at 2300 GMT on Thursday. The worry, of course, is that by about 2300 GMT on Friday, it will be approaching the shoreline of the Mississippi Delta.
On April 20th, 2010, a semi-submersible offshore drilling rig called Deepwater Horizon in the Gulf of Mexico exploded after a blowout, killing 11 people, injuring 16, and burned for 2 days. The rig sank and caused the largest marine oil spill in the history of the petroleum industry. Before the well was capped on July 15, 2010, an estimated 4.9 million barrels of oil was spilled. The spill had an economic impact on both BP and the Gulf economy in 2012. Local fishermen reported the crab, shrimp, and oyster fishing operations had not yet recovered from the oil, and many fear the Gulf seafood industry will never recover. The greatest environmental impact was on marine species. The spill hosted 8,332 species, including more than 1,200 fish, 200 birds, 1,400 mollusks, 4 species of sea turtles, and more. The summer of scientists reported immense underwater sectors of dissolved oil in addition to 80 square miles of kill zones surrounding the blown well. What?
So let's take a look at what engineers are up against as they try to stem the flow of oil. When the drilling rig was operating, a long pipe called a riser carried oil from the wellhead on the ocean floor, 1,500 meters below. But when the rig sank, it dragged the riser with it, bending and twisting the pipe across the seabed. Inspections have revealed 3 known leaks, now pouring out up to 5,000 barrels of oil every day. BP hopes to stop the leaks by using robot submarines to close a massive shut-off valve on the wellhead. But so far they've been unsuccessful. A second option is to construct a large dome structure that could be lowered above the leaks. Oil would collect under the dome and then could be piped up to ships on the surface. Another option is to drill 1 or more relief wells nearby. This could squeeze shut the leaking well, but drilling the new wells could take several months to complete, and that's time nobody can afford.
Some of the other long-term effects is the fact that the food web is unbalanced. The Gulf oil disaster hit at the peak of breeding season for many species of fish and wildlife. This also creates a decrease in fish and wildlife population. Scientists, for example, have noticed that the populations can collapse even years after a tragedy like this, such as the Exxon Valdez oil disaster concerning herring. They noticed that the population decreased years later and that it is still not recovered. This can happen later on in the future, making this tragedy a never forgotten moment in history.
There's not a bug, there's not a squirrel, there's not a fly, there's nothing. And there's no one cleaning it up.
Why isn't somebody cleaning this up now?
Our culture is threatened, our coastal economy is threatened, and everything that I know and love is at risk.
case you're wondering, who's responsible? I take responsibility.
What do those officials at BP meet about when they see this kind of destruction and not want to do everything physically possible to stop it? How do you get to them? How do you get inside their head? You don't get the calls I get every night. This is their lives.
Now this is a story all about how BP got flipped, turned upside down, and I'd like to take a minute, just sit right there, tell you how about our pipelines got a tear. In London, England, born and raised on the oil rig is where I spent most of my days. Digging and pumping and drilling all cool. I was pulling out oil thinking I was cool when a couple of lights who were up to no good started blowing out in my neighborhood. We got one little leak and we all got scared and said, I think we have to go fix the ocean. The officers went pretty near, crossed lots of money and the police were on my rear. If anything I could say, it's an accident, but I thought, now forget it, we'll blame the government. I killed right about 8,300 species, and I said to the birds, fly home, smell you later. Looked in my kingdom and I was finally there. Tell you about how we polluted the ocean and the air. That pretty good?
God. Yeah. Oh God. Boy. Yeah.